In the red corner, Ty Gibbs. In the other corner, Sam Mayer. We have to talk about the fight in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We had a next-gen race at Martinsville, and it was very, very cold. We had an interesting Truck Series race at Martinsville. We had the Long Beach Acura Grand Prix with the IndyCar Series racing and the IMSA Series in action. My name is André Wiegold, and welcome to a new episode of Europeans Watching NASCAR. And with me from Italy, Luca Guiglia.
Hey guys, welcome everyone. We're not only watching NASCAR, we're watching all-American racing. And man, I don't know, William Byron or Sebastien Bourdais, who is your man of the weekend? I don't know, but it was fantastic. Guys, where do we start from? NASCAR Xfinity Series, we had a fight at Martinsville.
Yeah, that's it. I think we start with the only situation that had nothing to do with racing. So we had Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs. The race is explained quite easily. We had Brandon Jones winning the race, Ty Gibbs winning stage
1.
Yeah.
And Brandon Jones winning stage 2.
That's it, yes. And in the end, we had a 3-ride situation with Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs. Sam Mayer touching the car of Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs, after the checkered flag, hitting the back of Sam Mayer's car. They both went out, and then it's getting very important to listen now. Sam Mayer took off his helmet. Ty Gibbs didn't. And then they were discussing. There was somehow a pushing from Sam Mayer and touching the helmet of Ty Gibbs. And Ty Gibbs, to be honest, I think he's practicing punching in the gym because they looked very professional. And he punched Sam Mayer in the face several times. They were then separated by the NASCAR officials. And we have two youngsters, two very young guys, breaking the news in NASCAR for a couple of days, and we have a discussion. Was it a fair fight? Because Ty Gibbs did not remove his helmet. We have Sam Mayer saying that the punches by Ty Gibbs were weak by having such a blue eye. And
they both got called to the NASCAR hauler after the race. They stayed inside for 10 minutes, and as Jordan Bianchi reported for The Athletic, apparently they shook hands. So, they made them shake hands. Yes, probably.
Yep.
But they were. It was. I don't know, man. What do you think? First, I'm sorry for the NASCAR official who got hurt in the process of separating them.
Yep. So where do I start? First of all, I'm not a big fan of fights. Of course, it's part of NASCAR. It's part of NASCAR's character and history. Also, American racing. Think about Paul Tracy. Think about Tony Stewart. And it's part of NASCAR. So when it happens, and I realize it, and I look at it, and when I know that those guys are millionaires in the Cup Series fighting each other, I find it kind of funny because, man, for what? For what are you doing that? Because
they love what they do.
Yeah, but what I really like is that we see that the tempers are rising. I have no problems in a little bit of pushing. I have no problems in discussing. Even if you're a little bit angry, screaming, maybe pointing the finger, maybe touching the other guy. But I don't need to see a professional boxing fight with one guy having a helmet on, the other one not. Even without helmets, I don't need that because I think, the guys are also role models. So that's not the perfect way to solve situations. But we're in NASCAR, so that's part of the game. And what I really like, on the other hand, is people complained in the last couple of years after retirements of Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and people like that we have youngsters without any faces. We have clean PR guys, no more bad words, no more characters, and stuff like that. And I've never seen that, to be honest. Look at John Hunter Nemechek, look at Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, and now we have Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer. So there are a
They
lot
have
of
personality.
yeah, they have personality. They rage. They are getting angry. They say what they want. They are very honest when they are talking to the media. We had Sam Mayer in a special interview a couple of days ago. You can find the interview on our YouTube channel when he said something like, every time we remove a 1.5 boring oval from the schedule, it's a good thing. So they really don't shut up about political topics. They also let the tempers fly at the track. I don't need punches, but what I want to see is people with a lot of passion and with a lot of passion involved and tempers rising. So that's a very, very good thing, in my opinion, when you see those young guys willing to win and also to solve problems after the race with the other guy with a little bit more anger in it. That's totally fine for me. What do you say?
I totally agree, and you said it. I don't need punches, but I need people.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me to racing. People. It's not just the technical side, it's not just cars going fast. It's strong people with personality driving fast cars.
Yeah.
Whatever they are. Fast vehicles, not just cars. So when they show you that they have passion, it's just what drives me to racing. And I don't want people to complain then, oh, we had a fight, they should not fight, and so on. I know they should not punch each other, but then what do you want? Do you want PR robots just answering the same answers every time? This is exactly why I love Kyle Busch. And Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs are a great rivalry. They are 20 years of rivalry in the making. You are watching the beginning of this. They already crossed paths in the ARCA series, and we asked Sam about it.
Yeah.
And what he said, he didn't say he had to punch Ty Gibbs to beat him.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too when I saw that. I said, okay, when we asked him how to beat Ty Gibbs, this was not what we meant.
No, not exactly. But you see, and they are not afraid to say they don't like each other, and that's good.
Yeah,
That's good. That's what drove me out of Formula One, was the total PR robots.
Yeah.
How did it go? You can write their answers 2 weeks before the race.
Yeah.
And with these kids, you can't.
Yes.
And that's what makes you want to watch the race and watch the broadcast or go to the track. Even better, you want to go to the track and be there in person to meet the guy. And you can.
I totally agree. I'm not a tech guy either. Of course, I want a good looking car. I want a fast car. But I don't really care if it's 2 seconds faster than last year or 2 seconds slower than last year. Because with my eyes, I will not see the difference. If you don't tell me it's faster or slower, I will not see the difference. What I want to see is people in the cars, wrestling the cars because they have to show that they are the best drivers, not that the team has more money or the team has finding the better setup is part of the game. But they spend more money and they have the best developed car because they earned too much money and spend it there. What I want to see is interesting, good-looking cars that are hard to drive with people wrestling those cars and go for the win. And afterwards, before the race and after the race, we see characters. We see people. We get to know them. We somehow connect to them. That's very important. And this is how you create fans, because people will not say, man, I like this 1.5 tons monster of steel so much, and then they have a t-shirt on with steel car or something like this.
Yes.
They have drivers' names on that. They have the faces of the drivers on the shirts and not just a chassis. Because a car is important. It's motor racing, it's auto racing, of course, but it's a dead piece of metal and other components. But what the part that's living is the driver in that. And what I want to see is how how the young guys are developing, how the old guys and the veteran drivers, yeah, taking advantage of their experience, helping younger teammates, having rivalries on the track. This is what it's all about. And Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs, maybe they crossed a little bit the line. Yes, maybe. But in the end, this is what drives you into racing, and this is what, stays for a couple of months and weeks and maybe years. Like you said, there's a rivalry in the making. On the other hand, when you have a clean race without anything, you will forget it. But this, you will not forget that one.
No, absolutely. And we are still 60 years later telling the story of Jim Clark, of the Jim Clarks, the Juan Manuel Fangos, the Dale Earnhards, the Richard Pettys, because of their personality.
Yeah.
Not only because of what they drove.
But
Even when you
yeah.
watch,
Very important here, because I don't want to forget to say that violence is not part of your personality. So we're saying,
Exactly.
I don't say go above the red line, and I think
No.
punching somebody 3 times, 4 times in the face is above the red line. But
Totally agree.
showing your anger, discussing, maybe pushing a little bit, touching the other one, but not hurting the other one, is completely fine. To be honest,
Exactly.
but punching a different person, and this also we have a problem because it's against the law to hurt somebody like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not okay with that. But when you stay at the line, I'm totally in for anger, passion, discussion, and let's say touching, not fighting.
Yeah, exactly. There is a different way to solve this, but showing your displeasure is perfectly acceptable to me.
Yeah.
But always there's a different way to solve things.
Yeah.
And no, there's the Matt Kenseth way also to solve things. But that's dangerous as well. So I don't really agree with Matt Kenseth as well. But anyways, it is what it is. They show their personality. Even when I wanted to say, even when I watch NHRA, and NHRA is interesting also because it's the fastest thing on earth. That's a lot of technical side there. But if you remove the personalities, the John Forces, the Britney Forces, the Matt Hagans, and the Mike Salinas, what did we say about the race Mike Salinas won? We told the story of Mike Salinas, his humble beginnings and so on. That's what makes it interesting, more than the 10,000 horsepower. It's personality.
Yeah.
It's persons who drive people, who makes people fans. Well, the Xfinity race. What else can you say? Brandon Jones. Well, he took the win in overtime. There were 2 overtime attempts, and he was very good at taking advantage and beating and taking the lead from his teammate Ty Gibbs. So we have an interesting young man there as well. What did you see? What else did you see in the race?
It was a normal Martinsville race, in my opinion, in the Xfinity Series.
Probably the best NASCAR race of the weekend.
Definitely. But also because of the finish we had there. Yeah, for me, it was a typical short track race. We had some beating and banging, some Robin is racing type of action, of course. And in the end, Brandon Jones won ahead of Landon Castle, AJ Allmendinger, Austin Hill, and Sam Mayer. Riley Herbst was 6th ahead of Ryan Truex, Ty Gibbs, Ryan Sieg, and Jeremy Clements. And I think we don't need to talk about every lap of that race because the main story was the fight between Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs. And of course, Brandon Jones winning. That's good thing too, of course.
Now, what I wanted to say about Brandon Jones, the Fox booth noticed that it was a cold race, and Jones gave a little bit of a bumper to Ty Gibbs to take the lead. That's pretty normal at Martinsville, but he was definitely, you could see from outside that he was quicker than Ty Gibbs. in overtime. And what the Fox booth noted is that he really warmed up his tires much better than Ty Gibbs. He was waving and waving and waving and trying to put some heat in the tires, which Ty Gibbs didn't do.
Yep.
So great move, a little bit more experience probably on Brandon Jones' side, and that paid off because he definitely had a little bit more of a car at the end. So congrats to Brandon Jones for the nice win and for the smart move there to him and to his team.
Definitely. So, drivers' championship standings in the Xfinity Series: AJ Allmendinger leading with 1 win. Then we have Ty Gibbs in seconds with 3 wins already. Noah Gragson in third with 1 win. Brandon Jones fourth with 1 win. And those are the guys locked into the playoffs 100% in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I don't see that somebody without a win is going to not make it to the playoffs in 2022. I think when we go to the NASCAR Truck Series race, we can do it quite fast, but I think there's one interesting story in that. Let's go through the race very quickly. It was a quite calm race for Martinsville, with Dane Smith winning stage 1 ahead of Stuart Friesen, Ben Rhodes, John Hunter Nemechek, and Grant Enfinger. Stage 2 went to Ben Rhodes ahead of Christian Eckes, Carson Hosiva, Zane Smith, and John Hunter Nemechek. And the win went to William Byron ahead of Johnny Sauter, Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek, and Ben Rhodes. And this is interesting in my opinion. William Byron driving the number 7 car of Spire Motorsports, and what I've heard, it was an old chassis. It was not a new chassis. And then just think, a guy not regular in the truck series beating Kyle Busch with one of the best chassis on the grid with an old Spire Motorsports chassis. So William Byron really laid a foundation there, and he shows that 2022 may be his real breakthrough year, in my opinion, because, a little spoiler, this truck series win helped him as well in the Cup Series. 100%.
Yeah, and it was just his second start in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series since 2016. Back in 16, he won 7 races that year. And this was just his second truck series start. So he was not even used anymore to the kind of driving you need. But it was really impressive, and at some point he was really dominating the field.
Yeah.
So good for Spire Motorsport, absolutely.
And good for William Byron as well, because I see, and there's another story. I would like to talk about William Byron before we go to the Cup Series, because when he has his breakthrough, what I think, because when we come to the Cup Series, we can spoil it. He won that race too. I bet everybody watched the races. So, but what does that mean? There's a kid that came from sim racing, never drove a real race car in his early childhood. He was a 100% iRacing guy. He was put in the car by his father in a legend car, and I think he won 33 races, something like this, in his first year. Late models, Truck Series, Xfinity Series, Cup Series. He worked with guys like Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, people like that. Then, now at the moment, he's working with 2 former champions, with a reigning champion, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott. So this guy, he was thrown into the competition after being a simulation PC guy. He converted to a true real race car driver, and he is so successful. And he's still at the age of 24. So even if he still needs 1 or 2 more years to be really a top driver in the NASCAR Cup Series, he still has the time to make himself a name, because he joined so early, and he was not that guys when you say, oh, okay, give him a chance, interesting, and then he disappeared. No. And he joined the NASCAR Cup Series full-time in 2018. He made his first win in 2020, another win in 2021, and now in 2022, and then we move to the Cup Series. He had his second win, second win of the season. So at the moment, it's his best season so far. He led in 2022 482 laps that is in 8 races. This is more than the whole last season. It was 425 last season. Now he has 2 wins, 100% locked into the playoffs. Think about what's happening to the whole sim racing scene when William Byron, and I will not say win the championship, I will say makes it to the final 4 at Phoenix. What does that mean for anybody who has not the money or the possibility, because there's no racetrack close to your home? What is that message when a guy like William Byron is becoming and developing to a driver on such a high level? That means that when you start racing on a low budget in the virtual world, without paying bills when you hit the barrier, without you don't have to spend thousands of euros or dollars to race, but a few bucks on a game, on a simulation game, and you can make it from there to become one of the best stock car drivers of America, of the world. What does that mean? So William Byron,
it can be done.
Yeah, William Byron is carrying a whole new generation of race car drivers in a virtual world. Of course, it's a completely different thing. Racing in the real world, in the virtual world. You cannot 100% compare it, but it can help being a good driver in the virtual world to adapt faster to the real world. But for me, virtual racing is at the moment the best way to get people into racing, young people into racing, because you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can compete on a very high level, and then they have a guy like William Byron they can cheer for, and there again we have the connection to the fans, between
people.
the fans and the race car driver. It's not about William Byron driving a truck or a Cup Series car, but it's a story. And this story is so interesting. And now 2 wins in 8 races, more lead laps than ever in a season, and we still have a lot of races ahead of us. So William Byron winning the Cup Series race as well as the Truck Series race is a big, big story in my opinion.
I would have never said a couple years ago that of those 4 drivers Rick Hendrick is putting in his cars, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, the best guy in 2022 so far would have been the sim racing guys, the sim racing kid. Well, it tells you, yes, of course, he is 1 in a million, but it's the same in real life. The Kyle Larsons are 1 in a million, maybe more.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And if sim racing gives you a cheaper way and a wider base in which you find your Kyle Larson, your William Byron, your Lewis Hamilton of the future, so be it. It's great, it's fun. And if you are not a Kyle Larson or William Byron, and if you're not a William Byron and you're having fun just racing at an amateurish level, it's fine. And you can one day have a fun race with William Byron on track. You get beat? Yes, of course you get beat. But it's still widening the base and creating connections. So good for racing in general.
Yeah.
The more the better.
You know I'm into sim racing as well. I drive iRacing, and I competed against Dale Earnhardt Jr. already on a official public server, different endurance car drivers and as well spotters and stuff like that. So you really see that those people are driving there as well in the normal public official service. So that's very, very much fun. And what I think is it opens the doors for people to, on all levels with a budget to join racing. Sim racing is the opportunity to get a wide foundation without people having to spend a lot of money, and this is a good thing. It's like soccer or American football, ice hockey, something like this. You don't need to have to pay a lot of money to enter the sports. In motorsports, it's a completely different story. But with sim racing, we open the door to let everybody race, and this is a very good thing. And people like William Byron shows that it's beneficial. And this is a very good thing. Let's talk about the Cup Series race very quickly. We have
very, very, very quickly. if you may, if you may, it's been a well. What happened? Basically nothing.
Basically nothing. Hendrick Motorsports dominating with Chase Elliott and William Byron winning both stages 1, 2. Chase Elliott stage
Hmm.
1, Chase Elliott stage 2, and William Byron winning the race at the end. And now we have to ask ourselves, why didn't we see the typical Martinsville racing with the next gen car? Is it the car? Is it the drivers? Is it the weather? Um, I have a thought on that. First of all, we went to Martinsville with a brand new car. So
Hmm.
you took your notebook and burned it, because then
Yep.
you had some fire and it was a little bit warmer. That is the next thing. It was very, very cold at Martinsville. We saw almost snow flying around the air, and it was very, very cold. Even after 200 laps, there was no rubber on the asphalt or on the concrete part and stuff like this. So we had a new car. We had very low temperatures, and of course, this 400 laps race Saturday evening, completely new environment as well. There was nothing to win. The second Martinsville race, this is something completely different. This is why this one is more exciting than the other one, because it's playoffs time. At the moment, you see, okay, I don't have the car to compete for the win. Why should I risk anything? We are at the part of the season where people are driving more clever than, using the bumpers to win and destroy the car. So, in my opinion, and let's see what I'm very interested in what you think. In my opinion, people came there, they saw a new car, a very interesting weather condition with the low temperatures, and a race where you can say, I don't need to risk anything. And I think all of the drivers and the teams were focusing on their self. They needed to get used to what's happening there, the new car, the weather, everything. So they didn't really focus on other guys on the track. They really all were focusing on themselves to stay at the position where they are, to get the car to the finish line, and to not make any mistakes. And this is why I think we saw that kind of racing.
Um, you you heard me in the past episodes issue the warning. Don't be too enthusiastic about the next gen. It's early. It's there are a lot of disclaimers. So let me reverse the disclaimer. Let's not become too negative about the next gen car on short tracks. It was cold, as you said. It was cold, new environment. They have to understand the car, they have to understand the conditions and everything. So let's not be not too enthusiastic, not too pessimistic. But the race was won on strategy
Yep.
at Martinsville. Well, the race long battle between the 9 and the 24, it was very interesting, of course, but the race was won on a pit stop, on a pit stop cycle. When William Byron got out of the pit lane before Chase Elliott. After that, they could not touch him. So many drivers complained about not being able to pass with the car. I wrote you a text message during the race that it was the embodiment of all my fears about the next gen car. So if you know, I already said that a few times. When the car, I like when the drivers have to wrestle their car, and you can see from outside it's difficult to drive. So this car does a little bit more of what the driver wants. Mm? It's a little bit more race car. It's a little bit more of a modern race car. And if you look at other series with modern race cars, this is what happens. The cars are more precise, are quicker. They are quicker, especially the next gen car is really quicker in the middle of the corner because they can shift, because the rear independent suspensions, because of a wider tire. They have a lot of mechanical grip, which normally is a good thing. Well, but on a short track, it means that when you chase someone, it's much more difficult to get to their bumper because it's you are also good. you take 40 great drivers, what happens? The difference between one and the other is very small.
Yeah.
The smaller the difference, because the car is easier to, not easier, but the car does more what of the driver wants. They have more efficient brakes, so they don't use up their stuff. They have more efficient gearboxes. They have a more efficient aerodynamic. They have more efficient mechanical grip. And the difference between the guy in perfect shape and the guy with a slightly off setup is reduced. When the difference is 5 meters under braking, you have an overtake. When the difference is 30 centimeters, you have nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. To this, well, at the Coliseum in the first race, the race was hotter and they really pushed each other because they wanted to. This is the part you already underlined.
Yeah.
There was really nothing to gain. If you are second, you try to win. If you are from third back, you really have 1 point to lose if you lose a position, or 1 point to gain if you gain a position. So at the Coliseum, they also wanted to push each other, and they could with this car because you can push harder. But at the same time, you have to push harder to get the position, and and if you cannot reach the bumper of the other guy, you can push. Then this was all increased by the cold conditions. Very cold. And we have plenty of drivers blaming the cold condition. And tire management, so the tires don't fall off. You don't have comers and goers. So plenty of drivers blaming cold conditions. Among them, Austin Dillon, I think he was especially vocal in this. He said, I had no problem passing. I came from 23rd a couple of different times coming to the front. But it was difficult because there was a ton of grip on the track when it's freezing. So, to me, don't be too negative. We see the next time what happens. But is kind of what I expected from the next gen car.
Yeah.
It's closer competition, but sometimes there's no difference between the drivers. That's it.
Yeah, totally agree on that part. Also, NASCAR has no guarantee on several tracks to have a special race remembered for decades. There's no promise, there's no guarantee for that. So even on the track where you think, yeah, the last 20 races were good, we will always see one race, that's not remarkable like the other ones. That's totally normal for racing. So for me, it was a decent race, but I will forget it in the next month, and I will hopefully remember who won it. But that's normal.
Was it the Martinsville race I normally expect? Nope. But this is also what makes the next Martinsville race maybe the one I remember. Then, did you see Austin Dillon came from 23rd? Ross Chastain came from 27th on the grid, and he finished 5th. So passing was there. Maybe, dare I say, the Fox broadcast could be a little bit better in showing us what happens behind the leaders.
Yeah. Yesterday I talked about that in a German live show. We work also on a TV product. Of course, low budget compared to Fox, but how hard it is to find the right battle, to find the right pair of cars to follow and stuff like this. So credits to the guys who are doing that in the live booth and in the control rooms and stuff like this, because it's really hard to make the right decisions, because if you made the wrong decision, you cannot reverse it. It's live, you have one chance, and it's not so easy. But I totally agree with you on that topic. The TV production could be a little bit more focused on stuff that's happening in the midfield, when the things up front are quite boring, especially on a track like Martinsville. You just zoom a little bit out, you can see you could show the whole track if you want.
It happened to us a couple of times that we missed the pass for the lead. The pass for the lead, and because we were watching a good battle in the back.
Yeah.
But and we don't have Fox Sports means to show you a replay or to show you 10,000 replays of the pass for the lead when you miss it. But that's the risk of running a live broadcast. At some point, you have to choose if you want to show the good stuff happening or you want to keep track of the results.
Yeah.
It happens, and I really think Fox has all the means to show us a little bit of a comeback from Ross Chastain, for example. They tried, they did it, and at some point, and Clint Boyer and Chad Knaus also talked about it together with Mike Joy, and that was the part making the race interesting, because if we focus only on the first 2-3, that literally nothing happened. Nothing, not one pass for the lead under green. It was all in pit road cycles. That's it. Also, I wanted to tell you that at some point, Clint Boyer and Chad Knaus said that for them, short track racing, NASCAR short track racing took a little bit of a hit in quality, racing quality, when NASCAR removed the Ride 8 rule in 2014. That's interesting for you guys, for you at home, trying to let us know your opinion, because at some point in 2014, NASCAR said, okay, we don't want to check anymore Ride 8 after the race, because teams were developing systems to lower the Ride 8 during the race and take it back to the rule book after the race. And of course, that implies a lot of money, many dangers, because you're tampering with suspensions and blah, 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 blah. So NASCAR decided to get rid of the Ride 8 rule. So you ride whatever. Guys, do you think that taking the cars to the ground, literally glued to the ground, made it worse? I'm not sure. I really have to look back and think about it.
Yep.
Possibly yes, possibly no, but I saw plenty of good races since then.
To be honest, I did not recognize that.
Me neither.
Okay.
It is.
Yep.
It is just as we said. It's not that making races interesting. That's a technical aspect. It's curious. If you have an opinion about that, let us know. But I have seen plenty of good races since 2014. So.
Yep. So let's go through the results. William Byron won ahead of Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain in 5th. Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Eric Almirola, Chase Briscoe, and Chase Elliott closing the top 10. In the overall championship, we have Chase Elliott in 1st ahead of Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Joey Logano, and Ross Chastain. Alex Bowman is 6th ahead of Martin Truex Jr., Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch. And let's see, where is Brad Keselowski? 31, still not in the playoffs, even if he would have grabbed a win. And there's some interesting news about the penalty for Brad Keselowski. He opened up a little bit what happened there. Still, we talk about a back car panel at the back of the car, a panel at the back of the car. We don't know which one. And he said there was no new one available. They wanted to replace it, but there was no new one available, so they made repairs. In his quote, it sounded like the repairs were not perfectly done. And NASCAR said, what the hell is this? We cannot allow that. And he said, okay, this is a case where we totally understand that there's no right or wrong. They are right, we are right. They are wrong, we are wrong. It's something like this. We repaired it, but we wanted to replace it because there was no panel left, so we couldn't replace it. So what he also said is that they wanted to have that hearing just to tell the world that we wanted to replace that part and we didn't want to repair it. Did we do a good job by repairing it? Maybe not. But on the other hand, we never wanted to repair it. So that's why he's not going to appeal again on that penalty. And they decided, okay, we get the penalty, everything's fine on that, but we made our point. We wanted to have a replacement part, but we didn't get that.
Interesting. So I would like
to
hear NASCAR side on this, because did they ask to repair it?
I don't know. The problem is in the end, why don't they communicate before and ask how to repair it?
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't know what the communication was. And we know
Yeah.
just have the side of Brad Keselowski. We don't know what NASCAR said. But I think now the case will be a cold case. We will not get any more
Yes.
information because now it's done. But that's the, I think, last thing we will hear about that penalty against Brad
Yes.
Keselowski.
Most probably yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I take a look at a little bit of the time, and we still have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
So let's
Let's
go
go.
from the low temperature Martinsville to 37 degrees Celsius at Long Beach. Do you want to start with the IMSA race or with the IndyCar race?
I want to start with the man of the weekend, man. So, who is this guy? Well, I will start with IMSA.
Yep.
Because he won it. He won there. The man of the weekend to me is Sebastien Bourdais.
Yes. I was commentating the race in German television on Motorvision TV, and quickly we had a super sprint format, 1 hour and 40 minutes, 100 minutes on the Long Beach street course. They were sharing the track with the IndyCar, and when they do that, when the IMSA and the IndyCar are together, the IMSA is racing 100 minutes. It's the same in Detroit in the street course. We had the DPI, the GTD Pro, and the GTD on track, no LMP2 and no LMP3. It was the start of the Sprint Cup season, so some of the endurance entries were not present, like the car of Jimmy Johnson, the 48, Action Express, DPI, and some GT cars. Ganassi was very, very quick in the DPI class in qualifying, and we saw Sebastien Bourdais doing the start. So we had the start of the race, and then he made a mistake. He did not get the corner. He had to stop. He brushed the wall a little bit, and he went down 22nd into dead last in the DPI class. And to be honest, what I said on live TV was, okay, he's done for the day. That's it. He needs a yellow flag. He needs something to get back. But I think that's it.
And you spoke too soon.
20 minutes later, without a caution, without anything interrupting the race, this guy went from dead last to first. How?
And just by pure speed.
This was just amazing. I've never seen... Okay, it reminded me on the Montoya Jr. Last time in Sebring. At Sebring. But yes, amazing.
It's, I unbelievable. Yes, of course. Cadillacs were at a big advantage at Long Beach. We know the Cadillac Delara chassis is better on the bumps, so you can discount the Acuras. They were easy to dispatch, but still, in 20-something laps, he went through the whole field, basically.
Yeah.
On a street course. So long for passes are difficult on street courses. Boy, oh boy. He was 2 seconds quicker than everyone else per lap. Something like that.
Yep. Amazing. And Sebastien Bourdais then got out of the car and gave it to Renger van der Zande, and this guy, he's incredibly fast and managed to contain the lead and win the race. So in the end, we had the 0 Cadillac Racing car from Chip Ganassi in first, and it was a double win because we had the 2 car in second place. Another amazing result for Chip Ganassi, Alex Lynn, and Al Bamber doing a great job. And of course, Cadillac. It's since the inception of the DPI class, it's Cadillac at Long Beach and no Acura, even if they were giving a little bit of a BOP advantage, 10 kilograms less for the Acura, but that was not enough.
Didn't work.
Yeah, we had the Wheeling Engineering Action Express car in third place with Pipo Derani and Tristan Nunez. Amazing job by them as well. And then we had Ricky Taylor, and who was the other guy in the car? Philippe Albuquerque.
Philippe Albuquerque.
Yeah. So in the DPI class, it was an amazing race with Sebastien Bourdais being the race car driver of the weekend in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. If you sum it with what he did in the IndyCar race, that man was really great.
Yeah,
Great. Congrats, Sebastien. I don't know what you did, how you did it, but fantastic. Just fantastic.
yeah.
I'm gonna rewatch it again because the first 20, 30 laps of that IMSA race, he was just unstoppable. But man, what happened in GTD Pro?
Oh, several stuff.
What the what that pit stop was? I saw a tweet by Bozi Tatarevic on that and fluke pit stop. What
Which
happened?
one?
Well, I saw a tweet from Bozi with a piece of the Corvette,
Yeah,
the one that lost them the race, rebounded on the pit lane and jumped into
the
the
puff.
cooling system of the Porsche
Yeah,
of
of the
the
puff
Pfaff
puff
Motorsport.
Porsche. Yeah,
Yes,
and they had to
and it
retire because of
yes.
that. Yeah.
What the flub happened in that race?
Yeah, first of all, you're not allowed to do any mistakes in a super sprint race in the IMSA series. We saw with the Corvette drive-through penalty, boom, only third. Then we
Mm-hmm.
had the Vassar Sullivan Lexus in second,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the Heart of Racing team Aston Martin winning the race because
What?
Um, BMW with the 25 already had problems before the race. They were
Mm-hmm.
the qualifying times were cancelled because the engine was not 100% legal. There were some stuff happening, and they were penalizing the BMW. So they had to fight their way through the whole field. And as you said, on the Long Beach circuit, it's not easy to pass. But in the end, the different teams did too many mistakes or they had bad luck like the Puff guys, and in the end it
Mm-hmm.
was the one without the with the less mistakes winning the race. So it was the Aston Martin by Heart of Racing, then the Vassar Sullivan Lexus also doing a great job, then the Corvette, then the WeatherTech Mercedes, very important. They switched to the full-time Mercedes and not the Porsche anymore. Cooper
Mm-hmm.
McNeil said that the Mercedes is a little bit better for his driving style. Why as a German guy, why do I pronounce Mercedes in an English way when I speak English? It's stupid. It's Mercedes, man. He said,
You're too used to the American broadcast.
yeah, and he said that the Mercedes is better suiting to his driving style, and they get more support from the factory there. And in fifth, then the Puff Motorsports Porsche, not Porsche,
Porsche.
because of the retirement. In the GTD, very interesting as well. BMW,
Mm-hmm.
winning the race with Paul Miller Racing. I really need to get used to say Paul Miller BMW because they raced the Lamborghini in the past, very successful. But Paul Miller Racing winning the race, and then I was very happy for a fellow countryman in the Gradient Racing Acura, Mario Farnbacher, German guy, in
Mm-hmm.
second, and we had the GTD entry of Vassar Sullivan Racing, the Lexus, in third. And I think overall in the GT classes we had great racing. From the BMW, the door unlocking, they had to fix the door, and the penalty was because the driver helped to fix applying the door back to the car. Too many people working at the car in the pit stop.
Oh God.
The driver is not allowed to work on the car.
Oh, and I bet he was just trying to help,
Yeah.
and in the heat of the moment, he did what he had to do, and bam, penalty. But BMW, the winning BMW was pretty quick, man.
Yeah.
They finished among the GTD pros.
Yes,
So.
and this is some drivers said this is going to be a key factor in that race. They have the same BOP, they have the same technical specs. So the GTD driver said we get rid of the amateur driver after the minimum driving time of 35 minutes, and then we put the pro
Mm-hmm.
into the car. That happened. 35 minutes in the race, amateurs out of the car, pros into the car, and then if you put yourself between two GTD Pro cars with the same driver rating there, you have a cushion. You can build a distance to the next guy because, again, on the Long Beach circuit, passing is quite tough.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a strategy. If you're somehow able to do that with the pit stop circles, with the different strategies, because the GTD Pro, of course, they splitted the race differently than the GTD, because the GTD wanted to get rid of the amateur driver as soon as possible. The GTD Pro did their pit stops a little bit later. The DPI had to pit twice. So it was a strategy game as well there.
Very, very interesting, man. Very interesting. And Long Beach proved to be once again a fantastic street course.
Yeah.
Very nice. And those shots with the roundabout and that it's a beautiful, beautiful scenery and makes for good racing.
Definitely, yes.
Do you have the points, man?
Yes, I have the points. The O2 Cadillac, Ganassi Cadillac in first in the overall. Then we have the JDC Miller Cadillac in second, but they are leading the Endurance Cup. Meyer Shank in third.
Yes.
Wayne Taylor Racing in fourth. Then we have the second Ganassi Cadillac 01 car in fifth. The Whelan Engineering car, sixth. Mm-hmm. And then the LE Cadillac Racing Action Express car in seventh. Of course, they are not doing the Sprint Cup season, only the Endurance Cup races. But you see the difference. The Whelan Engineering 31 car, sixth in the overall standings, third in the endurance standings. So it's, you have to see what they are focusing on. In the GTD Pro, we have the Corvette in first, ahead of the Pfaff Porsche, Vasser Sullivan Lexus in third, WeatherTech Mercedes in fourth, and the Aston Martin Heart of Racing in fifth. And in the GTD, we have the now Team Korthoff Motorsports Mercedes in first. Very important. Gilbert is out of the team, not an owner anymore. He quitted pro racing, so it's now Team Korthoff. Of course, Ferrari in second, Wright Motorsports Porsche in third, Magnus Racing Aston Martin in fourth, and Settler Racing Ferrari in fifth. These are the overall standings.
Can I move a little bit of a critique to the IMSA guys? Guys, I'm on IMSA.com and the standings page is updated to Daytona. You did 2 more races. Please update it.
Try to find the race results there. Yesterday evening it was qualifying.
Madness.
Yeah.
Madness. They are linked. I think they are linked in the race report. Yes, they are linked in the race report, provisional results, and nowhere else.
Yeah.
IMSA, please. You have a great series. Make it a great website. Thank you.
The other Long Beach race, IndyCar.
Oh man. Sebastien Bourdais.
No, not Sebastien Bourdais.
No, he almost won. Moral winner to me. No, but it was a great IndyCar race.
It was a great IndyCar race. You wanted to say Romain Grosjean, right?
Yes, sorry.
I was a little bit confused at the moment. Sebastien Bourdais.
Yeah, no. Sorry.
To be honest, to be fair, in the IMSA broadcast, I put Sebastien Bourdais in the IndyCar race as well.
Yeah, sorry, man. Too many races.
Yep.
Too many races. Romain Grosjean, moral winner of the race. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Romain. Sorry, folks at home.
My
mistake.
I'm trying to sum it up very shortly. We had Colton Herter leading the first stint. Then we had the pit stops. Alex Palou doing the undercut. That's normally not working in IndyCar, but it worked. So he was first ahead of Joseph Newgarden and then Colton Herter. And then Colton Herter style, one of the fastest open-wheeler drivers in America, but he loses his mind when he's under pressure. He cracks under pressure. Again, into the wall. So we had the next pit stop circle and Joseph Newgarden at the front with a very fast pit stop. Palou only in second, and Romain Grosjean, who switched to red tires in the end.
And that was a different strategy compared to anyone else. Maybe there was one other driver on that strategy, no more.
Yes, one guy, but not among the top drivers. And it was Romain Grosjean taking second from Alex Palou, and then he tried to win, of course, the race, but we had a two late cautions with Jimmy Johnson crashing. Despite having a broken hand, he raced in that race. He crashed on Friday in practice. He had a fracture in his hand, but he was cleared to race with a carbon fiber piece on his hand. And
to keep it together.
Yeah, but in the end, Jimmy Johnson crashed in free practice 1, free practice 2, and in the race. But he did a good job until the crash.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. He was running P20 or something,
Yep.
P19, P20, and he crashed and brought with him Tatiana Calderon, I think.
Yeah, something.
Unfortunate. Yeah.
And or was it David Malukas? I think
Let
on
me
the
check.
broadcast they said Tatiana Calderon, but then the car of David Malukas was there. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
Not sure. I'm just check. I will check. But anyways, unfortunate victim of a mistake from Jimmy Johnson. Yes, it was Malukas.
Yeah.
It was Malukas.
But
You
I
were
had
right.
Calderon first also on the broadcast, but then I think they showed the car. So, and in the end, we had a crash of Takuma Sato, and that ended the race. And Romain Grosjean had no push to pass anymore in the closing laps. No push to pass seconds left. And Newgarden, brilliant in defending his position on that track. So Newgarden won. Third Penske win in a row after Scott McLaughlin winning the season opener at St. Pete's. And Joseph Newgarden winning at Texas and now at Long Beach. He's leading the overall championship ahead of Scott McLaughlin, Alex Palou, Will Power, and Scott Dixon. Romain Grosjean in 6th, Rinus VeeKay in 7th ahead of Marcus Ericsson, Pato O'Ward, and Graham Rahal. But I think there are more interesting stories out of that IndyCar race.
Yeah, for just a note, Newgarden's 22nd career win.
And first at Long Beach.
And the first at Long Beach. Yes, we had Newgarden and Penske once again on top of the game. And to me, Romain Grosjean and Scott Dixon made it really interesting with their strategy. Romain Grosjean, because he chose to go to the Reds in the second part of the race, and with a little help from the cautions, he was able to take advantage of the quicker tires and contain tire degradation. Tire degradation was a real issue at the beginning of the race, when mostly everyone was on reds and they couldn't reach the lap number 30, which was their target. They had to stop before that because they were losing tires everywhere. Romain Grosjean made it pay off and almost won the race. And Scott Dixon, man, if you can ask someone to save fuel on an IndyCar, it's Scott Dixon. He stopped how early in the first stint?
I think lap 22, 20, something like this. Yes, it was so early. And I said, what the hell is he doing? People were thinking, is that a 3-stop strategy? Why? But he made it on 2.
He made it on 2. And he came from 16th on the grid to 6th.
Yeah.
Under the checkered flag. That man has many aces up his sleeves.
Yep.
One of the most experienced IndyCar drivers, of course, around.
Yeah.
Anything else from you?
Yes, Felix Rosenqvist. I think he did a very good job in the beginning of the race, and it was humbled after the contact with Alexander Rossi. And for the first time, I thought Felix Rosenqvist way better position than Pato O'Ward, and maybe this is a good race for him. I really wanted him to finish good because I think Felix Rosenqvist is doing a good job, but he's in the shadow of Pato O'Ward. And McLaren really needs to race the game and get both drivers into the top 10. Pato O'Ward in the end 5th, but in the early stages of the race, he was struggling while Felix Rosenqvist did a really, really good job. And then on the other hand, we have Alexander Rossi. Yes, he was very good in 2018, 2019. He won the Indianapolis 500 as a rookie. But the last recent years, what the hell is going on with Alexander Rossi? At Long Beach, he had that contact with Felix Rosenqvist that totally destroyed Felix Rosenqvist's race. He ended up 8th but now after 3 races, he's 18th, behind Christian Lundgaard, behind Takuma Sato, behind Jimmy Johnson, who's 14th, by the way. It's not working for him anymore. I don't know why. I don't see the problem. But, okay, let's compare to Romain Grosjean. Romain Grosjean said after the race, I could have attacked Joseph Newgarden, but I choose not to do it because I knew no push to pass, high risk. What I wanted to do is finishing in second, collect the points, and focus on the championship. So, how much confidence you need to have to say, I'm here to fight for the championship. He knows exactly where he belongs. So he said, second place, good points, no risk. Colton Herta.
Look for the pit goal.
And Colton Herta cracks under pressure. Leading the race, a bad pit stop, and maybe the strategy, he also made a wave because he missed his pit stall or wanted to go a little bit earlier. It's 0.3 of a second, something like this. And he's third, and he cracks and crashed. Alexander Rossi, he's trying to find back into the rails, into the track, but he does mistakes. Too many mistakes. Colton Herta, Alexander Rossi, those guys are doing, in my opinion, too many mistakes.
I totally agree. And if for Colton Herta, you can say, well, he's young. He doesn't have the same experience. Alexander Rossi has no excuses.
Yeah.
There's no. He should have improved in the last couple of seasons instead of going backwards. Yeah. There's no other way to say it. It is what it is. But especially Colton Herta. Colton Herta, of course, he can. I really wish for him to stop making mistakes because he's an exciting driver. He was so quick in the first part of the race. Man, stop it.
But by the way, it's not even my own opinion saying that he cracks under pressure. He says it himself. In a preseason interview, he said, "My biggest enemy is myself. It's me, my temper, my emotional condition. So when something's not right, his temper is rising and he's on fire, and this causes mistakes." Now he's working with his father as a strategist at the pit box. It works quite well, I think. But he needs to calm down. When he's third, he should think, okay, no, you haven't lost the race yet. Stay calm. And if you're not able to get that win, bring home third.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something he needs
take
to
the
learn.
Points.
In my opinion, he's the fastest driver on the grid. One of the fastest drivers on the grid, maybe the best IndyCar driver we have pace-wise. But the other guys are more clever.
And they can see the big picture.
Yeah. The big picture. That's what Romain Grosjean said. 100%. The big picture.
Yep. Also, I wanted to mention to you, man, Kyle Kirkwood. The best result for a rookie this season, I think.
Third, yes.
Yes.
10th.
Yep.
10th.
Kind of under track, didn't notice him too much, but when I look at the results, he's there, he's 10th for a rookie, no mistakes at Long Beach. Very good result, and he's now the second rookie in the point standings behind Christian Lundgaard.
Yep.
So, good job, Kyle.
Yep.
Very good.
And we have now 4 drivers above the 100 points mark. Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Alex Palou, and Will Power. 100% after a bad luck and catastrophic year for Penske in 2021. They're back. 100% they're back.
Definitely back.
Yeah.
And if we can say something, is that Will Power is the most consistent driver in the field. Third, fourth in the first 3 races of the season. He's there. You can always count on him.
Yep, I think that's it. The next race is the first one on a, let's say, traditional racetrack. We go to the Barber Motorsports Park at Birmingham, or in Birmingham. Next in the IndyCar series, we go to Laguna Seca next in the IMSA race, in the IMSA series, and the NASCAR series next week. Bristol Dirt. These are the upcoming races. NHRA is back on the track when? Do you know that?
I'm looking at it. They are back in Houston the last weekend of April.
Oh, so we have some time next time to talk about the Bristol Dirt race.
Yes, we have only 2 races for us this weekend. Bristol Dirt Truck Series and Bristol Dirt Cup Series.
Perfect.
So folks, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube to always be up to date with our latest episodes, and we're gonna have some more interviews coming in the next few weeks. So stay with us on European Watching American Racing.
All right. Thank you so much, and goodbye.